You know, there was a time when I liked Supergirl more than I liked Superman. Let's do it. It's true. I'll be honest though. I don't think it lasted very long. I remember for a little while there, and I think it was very much the idea of getting a little older. Not older like, oh man, Supergirl's hot. No, that's not the idea. But as I started getting a little older, I started wanting superheroes and whatnot to have a little more edge. Not necessarily that I was going full Punisher with it, but I wanted them to have a little more edge. And I remember kind of having a problem with Superman for a while. I don't know if it was just the era that he was being written in, that he was just kind of boring me at the time or something like that, but like, he just, aside from some off stories, he just didn't feel very exciting for a little while there. And while I was reading him and whatnot, I also kind of jumped into Supergirl. Started reading that. And she was like young. She was abrasive. She had more difficulties with her powers than he did. Like she was still very, very powerful, but like she didn't exactly know how to hone those skills and everything like that. And there was something about her that I actually liked quite a bit. And that ran for a little while. And then of course, as I continued reading and whatnot, Superman kind of came back into his own. And I don't remember. I do remember there was an era, and I'm trying to lock down exactly when it was, but I'm having trouble. But there was an era where I really did prefer Supergirl. Superman was just not doing anything for me anymore. And as I've gotten into the McFarlane line, there were certain things that I wanted. I want a good Batgirl. I would really like a good Batgirl. I don't know what I'm going to have to settle for in the long run. I really don't. But I also, like, there are things like I wanted a decent Flash. I found one that I can live with. He's not the one that I wanted, but I definitely found one that I can live with. I got some lanterns and whatnot. I would like a more classic Hal Jordan. I would like a Tumar Ray. I would like... it would be real cool if we got like an Arquilo, but we're never going to get one now. But I would like a Sinestro and a couple things like that. Sora Natu would be cool as well. And you could get her in both yellow and green and she would be solid. I got a Guy Gardner. Like, there are certain things in this line that have really paid off for me. As I got into the line and it started getting expansive and I started getting certain things, I got a Doomsday. I got multiple Superman now. I have multiple Batman. I have a Robin that's passable. Not one that I'm necessarily in love with, but one that I can live with. I got some really solid Batmans. Like, I got a Kilowog. Like, but there are still things in this line, which is a shame that we're at the end of it, that I feel like I never really put on the shelf yet, and I don't know how hard it's going to be to add them at a certain point. Well, Supergirl was one of those things. I have two Supergirls that I like, specifically. Arguably three. One is the classic Supergirl, basically this exactly, but with the shorter boots. It's one of my favorite Supergirls. The second Supergirl that I like a lot is the midriff Supergirl. I like her. I think that was around the era that I started actually liking Supergirl a lot, especially with like the Superman, Batman, Apocalypse story and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. The third grew on me over the ages. It was kind of weird. It was one of those things that I absolutely did not like when it was happening. And storyline wise, I don't necessarily love it even now, but the white shirt, short skirt Supergirl is like a strange look that has grown on me over time and made me go, that's different. I kind of like it. It's different. Sometimes a full change in character, like look, can really sell it for you. Sometimes it's not a good idea and it completely destroys whatever it is that you're going for and you'll pay for it later. That's the way that it is. Well, I got a Supergirl. She looks like she's a really good one. And I also learned something that I wish I would have known before. I often order from Big Bad. And Big Bad can take a very long time for them to even get the figure, let alone get the figure ready and get the figure sent to me. Normally this is not a big deal. I have plenty to open, I'm in no kind of rush, I have plenty of content that I can make. If I take a little break, I don't feel like it's going to hurt me that bad. There's plenty that I can do, and I have plenty of photography and whatnot to keep me busy with anything that I'd like to do while I wait for a figure. I am not hurting for stuff in this hobby. I'm fine. I don't need a new figure every week. That's absolutely not a thing. But, that all being said, I will say this. I wish I'd have known that McFarlane, because I ordered her off McFarlane this time. And she got to me fast. Like, I put the order in, and I got a notification that she shipped that day. And I was like, what? Wow. And then she arrived like 3 days later. And I did not pay for like the super fast shipping. I just paid for like the lowest possible every day. Just put it in a box and get it to me. I'm going to cut this clamshell anyway. I don't even need the thing. And I could wait. Takes a week or so, whatever. No, it took like no time at all. Which made me really wish I would have bought the Kingdom Come Superman at the same time. But I didn't, and I really wish I would have, because I'd have been reviewing both of them instead of just talking about her. Well, now I know, and I know that if I can get in there and get waves, I can also save a little money. So, lesson learned, whatever. That all being said, let's cut this open. I want to see her. There she is. Supergirl. Specifically, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. That's the book that came with it. I don't know what this is. It looks like a newer Supergirl comic, which would be fine. But since I don't really do single issues anymore, I'll more than likely read this and then make a decision as to whether or not I would actually buy a graphic novel or something like a collection, because that's the way that I am. Of course, we got a card here. Fantastic. There's a card. I'll add it to the big stack of other cards that we have. And there she is. So, let's figure this out, shall we? First off, I'm liking this. This is just painted on. Yep, it's just painted on. It doesn't actually come out or anything like that, but the shirt and everything, I'm going to be honest with you, the dimensions and everything that I'm seeing make me feel like part of this could easily be reused and go well with him. Like, I feel like there would be very little challenge in taking what exists here, for the most part, and changing the legs, maybe alter this enough, and you get Supergirl from the movie. Do you want Supergirl from the movie? I would argue, looks-wise, that Supergirl is fantastic. I never said the movie was good, and nor would you ever hear me say such a thing. But the look was spot on. And we've got most of it right here. That being said, I like this head a lot. I think that's a very, very good face sculpt. I think that it's working out very well for us. It turns. We're not having too much problem. She can't look up, so flight is going to be a bit of an issue. She can look way down. We have a flight hand, but like I said, right now, it's almost a salute hand, because if we're being very honest here, she'd be quicker to give a salute and have any kind of success, bam, than she would flying. Because this arm goes up and she starts a flying, she's not going to look up there. Do-do-do. It's not going to happen. But we could easily get shots like where her arm is back and she's kind of got the hand down or whatever. And she's, you know, she's got like this type of thing where she's kind of flying. Like, you could easily do that. That being said, about the flying, there it is. McFarlane, what are you doing? Flight stand. This is Supergirl. Supergirl flies. What are we doing? But the only thing I don't love about this Supergirl, design-wise, hooker boots. I'm not a big fan of the hooker boots on Supergirl, but I don't hate this figure by a long shot. I think that for the purposes that I need a Supergirl on the shelf. And realistically, she might be the best one in this line. I'm kind of messing with her right now. This I kind of wish was a cloth, kind of like this, but I understand completely that it's not, and I'm not going to hold it against the line for what it is, especially for what these figures cost. There's no reason for me to be that ridiculous about my demands. They are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're being the figures that I wanted. These, we got full spin here, but I'm noticing something that I've never seen on any of the other figures so far. And it is noticeable and it is weird. Check this out. Look at the arm. That looks fine, right? Now, not that you would ever need this in terms of posing, but like, even though this arm can turn all the way around, it does this if you do so, which is weird. And so these biceps are probably never actually going to be moved. And like I said, I'm not going to get many shots of her in flight going up. On the back, though, ooh, we love that S, right? Of course we do. That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And that pretty much is the new Supergirl. To put that into perspective, we already saw Superman with her. Let's see another Superman. Let's see this Superman. Yes, that there is absolutely beautiful. That is so good. We love it. That also being said, I have another Superman I could pull out here, but in all honesty, he's not great. Let me move some things on the shelf real quick and grab him. I think he works for what I needed him to be at the time. There we go. And one could argue he's big enough to still do the job that I need him to do. He'd be a decent Superman alongside her. The darker color kind of allows him to stand out a little bit and differentiate himself from her, but I could also argue that she honestly looks better standing next to Reeve. And I could argue even further that maybe that new classic Superman, that 1980s classic Superman that's come out, which I have not seen evidence that I can buy it anywhere or anything. If you guys know, if you know a way I can buy it, if you know where they're selling it, tell Bill. Bill wants it. But yeah, that's pretty much where my thoughts are on this right now in terms of her standing alongside other figures. That, now that I think about it, there's two other things that I kind of want to see. One, let me walk over here and grab this, sorry. One thing, that is actually her cat. This is your cat. This is your cat. This cat right here is your cat. And perfect. And I'm being serious about that. This really showcases the difference here in these two characters, and I kind of love it. This is definitely a younger version. She will need to grow up quite a bit before she ever gets to be anything like that. But that's awesome. That is like really awesome. I love that they are so adamantly different, while still having enough feature that you could argue, looking at the brow here, the eyes, facial structure in general, once she puts a little more weight on, this is not an impossible thing. I feel like what we're looking at here, if she grows up, she could become this, and I would not have trouble believing it. And that's pretty cool in its own right. And that's Supergirl. That's the Page Punchers Supergirl. Or rather, sorry, this is the DC Direct Supergirl, the Woman of Tomorrow. And look, I can't complain here. I think she does exactly what I need her to do. She's Supergirl. She looks Supergirl. She kind of feels like Supergirl. I'm not hating this at all. I'm 100% on board for what I have got here. I think she'll fit the shelf very well, and I think she'll be fine. I definitely got to mess with her cape a little bit before I get her on the shelf and whatnot. And just in general, I'd like the cape to kind of take, but I am, now I'm just kind of standing here playing. I'm fine with her. I think she's terrific. I really do. I've got nothing else right now. Later on.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.